Okay, picture this for a second. The dust is still settling from a fallen regime. The once unstoppable Nanda dynasty completely collapsed, and sitting on the throne of Magadha is a visionary new leader, Chandragupta Maurya. Welcome to our explainer on this incredible chapter of ancient Indian history. Now, winning the kingdom was really just step one for Chandragupta. To build a true Mauryan hegemony, he had to face an unprecedented danger that was literally marching right toward his northwestern frontier. So we all know Alexander the Great's empire was impossibly vast, right? But ultimately, it fractured. But what happened when his absolute greatest general tried to conquer India? Enter Seleucus I Nicator. Inheriting a massive chunk of Alexander's eastern empire, he marched toward the Indian frontier, fully expecting the exact same fractured resistance his predecessor had faced decades earlier. The coming clash between these two ambitious rulers, well, it was about to determine the future of Asia. Here's our roadmap for today. 1. Clash of ancient titans. 2. Uniting a vast empire. 3. The master of governance. 4. Heart of Mauryan wealth. And 5. The shield of India. Let's dive right in. Starting with part 1, Clash of ancient titans. The year is 305 BCE. Seleucus is marching his seasoned armies toward the frontier, and he's honestly expecting an easy victory. But he was walking straight into a trap built by his own outdated expectations. You see, decades prior, Alexander had faced these fragmented, independent Indian kingdoms, places that could be relatively easily picked off. But Seleucus, he was facing a highly disciplined, totally unified Mauryan Empire. Commanded by Chandragupta, this was an absolute juggernaut. We're talking hundreds of thousands of infantry, cavalry, and a terrifying elephant corps, all just waiting at the border. The resulting war was incredibly fierce, but Seleucus essentially hit a brick wall. He completely failed to defeat the Mauryan Empire. Recognizing Chandragupta's overwhelming strength, Seleucus makes this massive pivot to diplomacy. They end up signing a historic peace treaty, and, get this, Seleucus cedes vast, crucial territories directly to Chandragupta. We're talking present-day Afghanistan, Pakistan, and eastern Iran. Unable to beat him, he essentially just hands over massive chunks of his own empire. Now, Chandragupta wasn't just a brilliant military conqueror. The guy was a master diplomat. So in exchange for securing basically half an empire, what did he give Seleucus? Exactly 500 trained war elephants. Yep, that's it. Now, to be fair, these animals were essentially the heavy tanks of the ancient world, and they'd actually play a decisive role later on in Seleucus's own Western campaigns. But still, this legendary trade instantly cemented the Mauryan Empire as the undisputed dominant power of South Asia. Which brings us to part 2, uniting a vast empire. So, with his western frontier locked down, Chandragupta launches this rapid, massive expansion campaign. From the towering mountains of the northwest, all the way down to the fertile plains of the Ganges, province after province falls under Mauryan authority. And to actually physically connect these millions of newly united people, Chandragupta builds a sprawling network of new roads and heavily fortified trade routes. Diverse populations speaking totally different languages were seamlessly integrated into one unprecedented imperial government, and all of this in a remarkably short amount of time. Moving on to part 3, the master of governance. Look, conquering a massive territory is one thing, but actually governing it, that is an entirely different beast. For this, Chandragupta relied heavily on the administrative genius of his greatest advisor, Chanakya. Working together, they designed an incredibly sophisticated imperial infrastructure. The empire was divided up into provinces, governed by highly trusted officials, and they set up this inescapable network of tax collectors, judges, and military commanders. This ensured the emperor's authority reached right into the most distant, dusty corners of the realm. But here's the really wild part. The true secret weapon of the Mauryan state was its ancient surveillance system. For Chandragupta, information was just as vital as a standing army. The government maintained this massive, practically invisible intelligence network. Spies were absolutely everywhere. They monitored provincial governors, tracked wealthy merchants, and were even watching members of the royal court itself. This shadow network could detect corruption and snuff out rebellions before they even sparked. Talk about an ancient surveillance state. Let's look at part 4, Heart of Mauryan Wealth. The absolute economic engine driving this ancient superpower was its magnificent, heavily fortified capital, Pataliputra. Strategically situated right near the confluence of these great rivers, it completely blew away foreign visitors. The Greek ambassador Megasthenes famously called it one of the greatest cities of the ancient world. Just imagine walking up to it. Massive wooden walls, towering defensive watchtowers, and these incredibly wide moats. And inside, broad avenues, stunning royal palaces, lush gardens, and bustling marketplaces. And those marketplaces, they were globally connected, completely fueled by standardized weights and measures. The Mauryans were exporting serious high-value goods, spices, cotton textiles, ivory, gems, and metalwork, sending them straight into Central Asia and all the way to the Mediterranean. In return, foreign traders brought in swift horses, luxury goods, and precious metals. It's like this massive, perfectly oiled ancient supply chain kept moving by caravans and river ports. But, don't let the luxury goods fool you. Actually, the true rock-solid foundation of Mauryan economic stability was agriculture, government-supervised irrigation, and strict tax collection. The farmers who cultivated those fertile lands were the absolute backbone of the economy. The state protected the harvests and rigorously collected taxes, and it was that steady, reliable stream of revenue that funded their massive public works and, of course, their military. Which brings us to our final section, Part 5, the Shield of India. You just cannot maintain immense wealth in the ancient world without a terrifying military machine to protect it. The Mauryan armed forces were quite literally among the largest in existence, built on 4 main pillars of supremacy. First, hundreds of thousands of infantry, forming the unbreakable backbone of the army. Second, the cavalry, which give them rapid speed and battlefield flexibility. Third, archers, delivering these devastating ranged volleys to completely break enemy charges. And finally, the war elephants. Towering over the battlefield, they effortlessly broke enemy formations and literally carried armored warriors right into the heart of combat. No way you'd want to face that. But as the old saying goes, amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk logistics. The Mauryans didn't just win through brute force, they kept winning because of state-controlled perfection. State-run weapon workshops churned out standardized gear. Officers constantly supervised recruitment, training, and complex supply lines. Massive fortresses were built to guard key frontiers. And remember those road networks we mentioned earlier? Well, they allowed this colossal army to move with terrifying speed across the empire whenever and wherever danger appeared. This truly was the organized shield of India. Under Chandragupta Maurya, India became this beautifully united, insanely wealthy, and powerfully defended empire. Its administration basically became the gold standard of imperial governance for ancient history. But the story of the Mauryan Empire has an incredible twist coming. Soon, a new emperor named Ashoka is going to ascend the throne. His reign begins with brutal, world-shaking war, but actually ends with a message of peace that will echo across Asia for more than 2,000 years. So we'll leave you with this provocative thought. How exactly does an empire built on relentless conquest survive a ruler dedicated to absolute peace? Keep learning, keep exploring, and we'll see you for the next explainer.